talk about fonts. The first one is about color fonts, the other one is about variable fonts. Actually, I submitted the talks before Adam did that, so when I thought he was going to talk about that, something, oh, oops, there will be some overlap in the topic. So I tried to come up with content that is slightly, hopefully different than what Adam told. The first talk is about color fonts. Already, I think a year ago, we made the first color font. Actually, Taco made it. It was a follow-up on the cow fonts that I think you probably must have seen it because that's presented on earlier Bagger text. So at the last context meeting, because we had just implemented color support, color font support, we thought it was nice to have a real color font available, and so Taco made the black and white cow font into a color cow font. And before I will tell a bit more about color font support in context or in TeX in general, Taco will tell a bit about this example font that we have, because that can serve a bit as an appetizer for the rest of the talk.
Yeah, I'll start out with a little bit of history. I think the whole thing with the cow started because of this image. It has been in the context distribution since the very first time, I think, because it was one of the earliest examples of explaining how to include an image in context. So we have this thing with the cows almost from day one. But then you met Dwayne, right, in Hawaii, right? And then there was, the result was, now this is a beautiful image, not really suited for a font, you know? Well, you could probably create a PNG file of it and then include it as a bitmap. But we decided that it makes more sense to do a more cartoon style thing. They're still cows, but... And this is an example of one of the earlier versions, I think. This was a draft at some point. But this is generally how Dwayne maybe sent these files to us. They're drawn and they're grid-based, and because all the grids are the same size, this is useful if you're doing this, digitizing a font. So you know that they all end up the same size. Or at least almost the same size. Some of the ears are a little bit higher, and obviously the width is sometimes different. But you need this way of doing the images so you can better digitize it. So here's the resolution of these isn't so good. You cannot find my originals anymore. So they're probably on a backup disk somewhere, and then you buy a new machine and then you forgot where you put the backup disk. So there's some progression here. This was one of the earliest ones. I need to go back to the screen. Ow. This was the final one that was used for digitization. This one is then inked, but you can see here that the drawing isn't always that great. It's basically a scan of an image, and then sometimes the paper has fails, and that there could be some irregularity in the paper, and then of course when you create a high resolution scan, you pick up all these irregularities that you do not actually see when you look at the actual drawing that much, unless you have a big magnifying glass. And of course, there were still these crosses were still there, also in this version, but I cut them out because I don't need them. So then I do this stuff in FontForge. I started doing things in FontForge because I was always working on Linux, and pretty much FontForge was the only thing available. Nowadays I'm on a Mac, but I'm still using FontForge because by now I've gotten used to the tool. So FontForge is basically you can import the bitmap as a background, and then there's a menu option that runs auto trace, and then the tracer creates these curves. Easy enough, except that it produces impossible fonts. And if you save it like this, the way the auto tracer created curves, then it looks okay-ish. Really, you don't need to do enormous amounts of tweaking to get a legible cow. The only downside to the thing is that if you have more than 2 characters on a page, you can go fetch a cup of coffee while the renderer thinks about how to display the glyph. So quite a lot of cleanup is needed. You can see here some of these imperfections. Here you see the problem is that this little imperfection here is using some 10 or so curves, and all these need to be calculated and stored in the font, of course. I think I have another. So this is what you get after cleanup. So I have to go through basically and edit it and delete, and then all the lines here that were like this. I'm not sure if you can actually see that from the back, but they're all curves. They're semi-straight curves, but they're all curves. So I went through, I deleted the whole bit. Basically, I just cut the whole thing out and then drew horizontal lines in FontForge as a replacement. And of course, that uses far less computing memory. And you end up with a glyph that looks like this. There's a somewhat silly band here of hinting instructions, because the hints were at this point auto-generated. Maybe I threw them out at some point, because there were too many. Many of these horizontal things are in slightly different heights, because of the way it was drawn, and we wanted to preserve as much of the original drawing as possible, so then there were enormous lines of hinting instructions. Then of course, if you have a glyph like this, it looks really nice, but if you want to use it on a colored page, then it's transparent, so that it all shines through. And that isn't good for legibility. Besides, cows should be black and white. Yeah? And it's a cow. Well, maybe it can be red and white, but it shouldn't be light green, pink. So we created a separate font, because this was in 2006 and it was still PFD based. Basically deleted the whole inside of it. If you throw the whole inside out and only keep the outside, then you end up with that. And I don't remember whether we gave them a width or not. But at least, well, you're in your type setting, then you first put this glyph on in white, and then you put this glyph on top in black. And that way you get a nice legible cow. So we ended up then with 4 font files. Oh yeah, we did a bunch of logos, and they're in a separate font because they were actually too big to be included in the text font because they were getting in the way. If you create a logo like tech is fine, because tech is only 3 clips, so that's very small. But some of the logos were Pragma ADE's name, and the images got quite big, so we created a separate font. And then we have the 2 fonts that are basically only the black outlines. And then we had a whole bunch of TFM and VF files, because Hans wanted to do math typesetting with cows. We had some re-encoded TFMs, I think, because we also have a bunch of accents. So that was all 2006. I think we spent months doing this, but then last year we created queer letters OT.gtf. It's a single file now, much easier. And now I need to check how many examples I've included. Okay. Mostly it's combining all these separate TFB files into a single TTF file, which is possible now. So here's the math. It actually uses the math table. And it has extenders, and it has extensible characters. These are extensible characters. Wow. Yeah, because it's easy to do here. You just need to repeat the middle bit. There are not, the repertoire is fairly limited.
Coś takiego na 3D wydrukować.
Actually, in order to get the square root right, we added an extension to
these lines, this and this, could not normally be done. Because Czech believes that these are rules.
So we extended Lorien.
Yes.
For cows.
Cowboy. Excuse to extend it. And cowboys?
What about fracture?
Jeśli chodzi o krowy, to nazywa się gento.
Yeah, also, yes. So, well, we did, there is definitely more math included than just this example, but this is mostly for testing the open type math features. So they, well, you can do some simple middle school math with it, I think, reasonably well. This is the next thing. This is, we are now using the Microsoft thing, the core and what's?
All tables.
Yeah. Yes. It was reasonably easy actually, because, mostly because we already had these contours. So we already had a complete duplicate of the font. And it was simply a matter of importing all the glyphs into the single TTF file. Then in FontForge, when you say I'm going to create a TTF, there is an option for it to output some sort of glyph repertoire directory thing, which is a text file that lists all the names of the glyphs and their encoding points. And I wrote a small Lua script to generate the color and CPAL tables, and then just merge them in at the end using TTF tables. I could show that, but it's a bit of a boring script to look at. But I can show you just a little bit of what the font looks like in FontForge as it is now. You have all the ASCII bit of the cows. accents. And then, well, there are some sporadic things filled in here. The final stuff, the stuff that is not encoded, is more interesting. These are all these contour shapes. And then here are the logos. As you can see there.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So this is a single character.
Yes. This is actually a ligature. It is used in GSUB. You can have a feature to turn on these ligatures, and then you key in context and you get this automatically.
And you have a rule for replacement of 7 characters into
Yes.
a ligature.
Yes. We have a very advanced font.
When do you expect to ship Cyrillic and Chinese accounts?
You're welcome.
I think AMS symbols cows would be more important.
From the mass I was asking.
How will you convince the publishers of that?
How Polish
How
are
can
your
you
cows?
convince a publisher for funding that?
Well, the Halloween fonts really nice
Accents
pictures,
are
so why not cows?
Also the sheep.
Yeah, there are also a few sheep, yeah.
That's a modern
But we only did sheep. Superscript and, yeah.
Very funny.
So what's missing for Gaia cows?
What do you mean?
Forget it.
Okay. Okay, this is our, this is the arrow tool set. Just 4 clips, but 4, 5 or so. This is the vertical top. And here you can see these bits of the context logo from the last example I showed you. These are the shadows. And then there's the white background. And the actual cow outlines. And als they're cows, they have spots. But the Microsoft version of color fonts is very convenient for us in this case. Because it's a...
How did you separate the filled areas with the brown spots? Did you have to do it manually? Or?
Yes. But it's not that much work. The initial cleanup from drawing to a digitized cow, that is a lot of work. That took me about 3 or 4 hours for each clip. But then once it is in the computer, then manipulating it becomes very easy. It wasn't so bad. Anyway, I think that's all from me.
Was this all sponsored by a German chocolate company?
We retroactively charge them money. We have this colored font. If you want it to be lilac,
I have a question on this part. You made a change to water to accommodate this colored rule in radical. Question, do you think it will be useful for something more serious?
yes, it has applications for square roots with the angle at the end.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, you can do probably some sort of.
The problem is that we needed not only an engine extension, we also needed a math table extension.
Yes.
So obviously it only works in our case.
It will be very useful for some fancy fraction line.
Yes.
Yeah, the idea, the extension of the engine, basically, if we talk about square root, is that you can have a begin thing, a middle thing, and end thing, something like that.
What about making this legal?
legal.
Accepted by vendors of open type fonts? You don't care about it?
Well, I don't care, you know.
No, because it's,
Yeah, I know, but the endless
it's
discussion.
obvious, actually.
Yeah, I know,
it's,
but
it's clever, but it's obvious on the other
I
hand.
know.
It should be. Why rule?
Yeah, finally, after more than 30 years, it would allow us to type that perfect
To
loop.
be honest,
I remember there was always
I know,
there was
yeah.
an issue with the joints that it never perfectly worked out. And
to answer his question, to be honest, I've given up on any, you know, trying to talk to either Adobe or Microsoft or whatever.
Okay.
We don't have entries in there. Yeah, we are all.
Maybe Adam could do this.
If somebody wants to get it in, Adam should do it because nobody is listening. To be honest, nobody is listening to the petrol.
Okay.
You know, in this area, we have lost the petrol.
I don't know much about.
Yes.
I don't know much about Arabic mathematical typesetting, but from couple of papers in Tugboat, they were talking about Kashida, this extensible line, and I wonder whether code will work
That's
with
it.
this.
Let's postpone that to the variable fonts. The time is
Yeah,
limited
okay.
to the variable fonts thing.
Okay.
Okay, so one of the reasons for this topic was also I have a couple of kids with me, so you need to do a talk that somehow attracts kids and that you can say at least let them do something here too. Already for a while we have been thinking about a follow-up on this project, and that means to let Dwayne draw a series of emoji symbols, so that we have also something like that. And so it makes sense as a preparation for a discussion or whatever about these things to tell a little bit about these picture fonts. Adam already told some things, so I don't have to go into much detail about that. But let's focus on the tech part of this thing. For a macro package, it's basically just a font. You define a font, a colorful font, or whatever kind of font, and it basically should just work without you doing anything. And that's actually the case. You just can enable the font. You need to enable certain features. Adam mentioned that there are several tables, and some of these fonts have both of them or multiple of them. So you need to make choices about what you want. But apart from that, once you know that you have this font and need to enable this feature, it should just work. For the engine, in this case Luatech, it's also a normal font because, well, if it's open type font, it has its features, you can process the feature. If you can process the feature, you can do it. Although in the back end you need to make sure that the fonts somehow get included, and that's a bit different. If it's an SVG image, SVG should go in. If it's a bitmap should go in. If it's a Microsoft variant, then the overlay has to be done. For the viewer, then, well, if you have created a regular PDF, it should also not be a problem because in this case, we produce PDF. It can have bitmaps and outlines and whatever. For the user, well, it can be a little bit complex. I will come to that later because how do you enter in your document the right code so that you get the results that you want. And of course, no tech user is really interested in these things. It's for kids mostly. Okay, the technologies. Adam already mentioned them shortly. There's overlapping glyphs, there's SVG graphics, and there's bitmap graphics. Personally, I've already said that the Microsoft way, in my opinion, is the only qualitative way that probably, if we talk about these emoticons, actually works. And I will come to that in a moment. So I will not go into detail about these. Just to make it a little bit of tech talk. Yeah, so what you do is you have three different technologies. It happens that a lot of the fonts use a CSCMP feature to do certain clever things with these emoji things. This is enabling the table that Adam mentioned, and I will, for the rest of the talk, use the new Microsoft version of the font. And it actually uses a dist feature to get the dimensions right, which is actually a Devanagari thing. But, well, because everything comes from Microsoft, they decided that they should use this table also for the font. If you don't enable this, you will get rubbish, basically.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Because the dimensions will not be right. I will come to that in a moment. SVG, bitmap font, the SBIX and SVG feature that you need to enable. So you can actually define a font. Yeah, this is the way that you associate a feature to it. And this is the font, the same green EMG font that we will see more about later. And then you can just call for the clips and whatever you like. In this case by name, yeah, what you normally will do, because it's symbols, probably create some kind of indirectness where you use commands or whatever to access these individual clips or sequences of clips. Now there's one thing that I want to note, that is we are not talking, if we talk about these emojis, we are not talking about just simply choosing a clip. The thing is that some magic can happen, and now I need the kids here to demonstrate it. Actually, it would be nice if you also would have a baby here. Where's the baby? Okay, so imagine that, and I also need Paco. Imagine that you, at some point you have here, this is, let's say,
The baby.
typical example of a male. Here we see a typical example of a male. And then this is, that for the moment, that this is a kid, and this is also a kid. Yeah? So you enter in your application, you enter something like a man, a woman, a girl, and a boy. Now what's the order? The girls are in the middle somehow. You really have to know that, because otherwise it won't work. What happens if you enter this in your application and you enable this font? The following happens. These things move in front, and then they become smaller. And we have what we can call a family. Yeah?
The baby is here.
Ah, the baby is here. Actually, is your wife also here? Yes, okay, then we can use you as an example. What is the topic? Just come here. Can you also come here? Because it's no.
Ligatures of emojis.
No. Well, that removes part of the family. If we don't, okay, you will be the simple element. Okay. So then let's
You sing a song or what?
No, it's fine. I'm going to demonstrate Japanese emoji symbols, which is Japanese. So again, you have this example. The problem is we are missing part of the thing. This is a male.
Yes,
Male. And there was a case that when you could say, okay, I put a kid here,
Yes.
yeah, next to the male, and a baby next to it, and this becomes a family.
Yes.
Yeah, in emoji. Now what I have added is, and that's why I need this example, is recently they added skin tones to this. So we have, you know,
Heard about it.
yeah, you heard about it. So now we have what I say,